All right, Audioholics, we are back at CES 2016, and of course, one of the biggest names out there right now, splashed literally all over some of the biggest speakers, the most popular speakers in the world, is Andrew Jones. And Andrew keeps coming up with new speakers, and that's what we have for you today, a CES exclusive, the new Uni-Fi speakers by Andrew Jones. Andrew, thank you for being here, and please tell us about your hard work.
Well, I have to keep developing speakers or else I don't have any income. So there's a good reason for doing it.
Very selfish of you, but we appreciate it.
But really, I want to just surprise the world with new designs. So this is a new series, as you say, the Uni-Fi. It's a step up from the debut series that I introduced last year, and we began shipping end of October. And it's been a really nice surprise. It's going really well. Lots of good reaction to it. But I need to do something else. Feed my creativity and bring out something as a step up from that. The rationale behind the debut was to get new listeners in at an affordable price point.
It's a noble pursuit. We need more of it.
We need more of it. And so this is the next level up. Once you've done that, you can do this or start off at this range. So it's a modest price increase, but it's still a noticeable price increase when you're thinking of the people can afford $200 or $300.
Yeah, and we'll get to MSRP here in a minute. If you're hanging on for the dollars and cents, you will not. You will be shocked at the value, not at the number of zeros.
You get dollars, but there's no cents from me. So I've done what I love to do: concentric drivers, and I love to name my children. So when I was with KEF, we had the Q1 Directivity. When I went to Pioneer, I had IRIS, Iso Radiant Imaging System. Then TAD was CST, Coherent Source Transducer. So, most important, what am I going to call this child?
The newborn.
The newborn. So I came up with Uni-Fi. One fidelity, or Uni-Fi the tweeter with the mid-range.
Excellent.
It's quite cool. So everything is based on the concentric driver. And concentric means I put the tweeter at the apex of the cone of the mid-range or bass driver. Now in this case it's mid-range, because the best concentric driver is when it's limited frequency range and not trying to produce bass. So that means I have to develop it as a three-way system with a dedicated bass driver. And even without the fact of it being a concentric driver, a three-way brings benefits over a two-way. And a lot of people say, no, simplicity, two-way is the best way to go.
Take it all out, crossovers and everything.
Yeah. No, I go for complexity, but done right. Right? So three-way keeps, if you're trying to produce bass, it keeps away from modulating the mid-range if the bass driver is trying to produce that as well. And so it works very nicely. And I've used aluminum cones, certainly for the bass driver. It's nice and stiff. Any cone resonance is so way away from the operating range of the driver, it's not an issue. With the concentric, it's a 4-inch cone, but the breakup mode, the first peak is at 8K, which is pretty good. So it's well away from the operating range. I cross over a little below 3,000 hertz. And it's a soft dome tweeter. Based on what I did for the debut, but I've extended the top end response. Most soft domes and budget soft domes tend to roll off. We like to talk about a response at least to 20K. They don't. They're already rolling off by then. And I wanted to fix that. There are some tweeters on the market, soft domes that go out to 30 and 40K. Well, what happened with Elac? And we have our jet tweeter, and it's a folded ribbon, and it goes out to just beyond 30K. I'm not going to let them beat me. I have to have something to compare. Well, okay, well, look at this one. So that goes out to 30K, but it's not that it can reproduce 30K as such as it's not rolled off by 20. And that gives me the more of the air and detail around the instruments. So three-way system, crossing over 300 hertz from the bass to the mid-range.
So how did you get that extended response out of a soft dome tweeter? You don't have to give me.
You think I'm going to tell you?
You don't have to give me all this. Give me a hint. What direction did you go?
It's all about junction of the voice coil to the dome, and then you'll see there's over the unit there's a bonded in piece of
Just a metal
grill. And the way that's folded gives some kind of shading to the acoustic response and helps get the extended response.
It has a little bit of a waveform-like application where you're taking care of some of those destructive frequencies at the ultra-high range.
Exactly.
Excellent. Okay.
So we have 3 speakers in the range. The bookshelf, we call it the UB5. So Uni-Fi, bookshelf, 5-inch. We don't have a UB40. That's
90s humor.
Too old music for most people. So this is going to retail for $500 a pair. And it's just working wonderfully. We've got great reaction to it at the show. So I'm very pleased. We have a center channel. And the advantage of doing a concentric driver in a center channel is you don't get the lobing problems. So even with the bookshelf, you could lay it on its side with very little problem. But then as a dedicated center channel, we add the extra bass unit, so it's got a bit more mid-bass output.
So don't be fooled. Somebody looking at this from a distance is going to say that's a 2-way design. It's not, because of the concentric tweeter. We're actually running 3 ways here. And what's the crossover point between the woofers and the mid then?
Exactly the same. Okay. So it's almost, in all of them, it's almost exactly the same crossover. Certainly in terms of crossover shapes. In terms of the components themselves, because it's 1 woofer, 2 woofers, then 3 woofers in the tower, the impedance level of the combination of bass drivers is different in each of them. So you modify the ratio of component values to match what that load is, but the response shape stays the same. So they sound remarkably similar. That's always should be a goal when you're doing a range of speakers. You can kind of say, well, then you won't be able to hear the difference. Why would I buy the more expensive one, right? There are subtleties involved. Certainly the tower with 3 bass drivers will play a lot louder in the bass. This already does phenomenal performance, but that goes even better. And when it's playing quieter, the bass drivers aren't working as hard. So you'll get some better bass differentiation. So those factors change. But you should be able to listen and go, oh yes, that's one of those speaker systems.
Let me just say, I love your academic nature. I love the fact that you're sitting here in a promo video arguing with yourself. This is why good speakers are coming out of Elac right now, is because Andrew Jones doesn't let Andrew Jones off the hook.
It's also, when you're doing research for these kind of things, I always have this nice little thing that says, if I knew what I was doing, it wouldn't be research. So that's what product development is.
I love it.
But yes, that's the range right now, and it launches from a price point of view. I said, let's say $500 a pair, $350 each, and the towers are $1,000 a pair.
So just to be clear, we're looking at $1,800, $1,800 gets you 2 tower speakers, 2 full-range bookshelves that you can use as surround channels, plus the 3-way center channel. All $1,800 designed by Andrew Jones.
And this is that next level of trying to get people interested in affordable music. And some people have said, well, at $500, you should be charging more. It sounds so good. And I'm trying to tell people, no, we've got a goal for our product planning, for our revenue, all that kind of thing, and we're trying to hit a price point that people can afford. My job within that price point is to give surprising performance. And the other factor that comes into play, it's a step up from the debut series. $250 or $230 a pair or $280 a pair for the B5 and B6. Yeah. And some people say, yeah, but won't this impact the sales of those? Because it's only $200 and something more.
Not quite twice as much, but
right.
The same ballpark.
Yeah. But I'm trying to point out, why do you think $200 to $300 is not much of an increment?
You've been hanging out with audiophiles too much. If they're like, yeah, let's throw another $200 at it.
Exactly. The person who is struggling to feed a family, pay off their tuition fees and a mortgage, $230 is a stretch. Yeah. So the extra stretch doesn't impact the sales of that. And, $200 or $300, it's a turntable or an integrated amplifier. So there's a market for each of them.
I work in higher education, and the thing that strikes me is all these folks that are starting off, they love music, but they're stuck listening to them and their Beats headphones, and they haven't quite made that jump to what could be true fidelity yet.
Right.
This could be the debut series for certain, but even this could be that really nice dorm room setup that gets that next generation of audiophiles interested in how good music can sound.
And that's exactly the point. And we know in the high end we've got the law of diminishing returns. You know, the last speaker I did with TAD was the CE1. It's $25,000. It's 50 times more than this, right?
Very fun, very good, but the question is, do I go that route or do I get 50 of these?
It's so fun. When I did the Pioneer entry level, $130, Stephen Mayhass did a report on it in Stereophile. And he said, you know, Andrew did the $80,000 reference one and the $130 Pioneer. For the same price as the reference one, I could buy, it was like 700 of the Pioneers and give them away to all my friends. So in my manufacturer's comment in the magazine, I said, you have 700 friends? They must be Facebook friends.
If he was giving away your Pioneer speakers or these or anything else you've designed, he would have 100 likes.
So at the high end, you've got the law of diminishing returns. We know that. You know, at $25,000, I know the engineering that went into it. So it's not inflating the price just to get money. It really does cost that much to build and sell it. But here, going from that Pioneer to the Elac B5 and then to this, what we're finding is that the incremental improvement in performance is greater than the incremental increase in price. The exact opposite of high-end audio.
Kind of the definition of value is what we're talking about.
Yeah, and that's critical to bring in this new audience, these new people into buying stereo systems. So that's my aim, that's my goal, and I'll be trying to keep going upwards.
Please do. I don't know if you ever say, I'm thinking about retiring, give us the opportunity to talk you out of it, if you would, please. Andrew, it's a pleasure and an honor, and I so appreciate the work that you're doing, especially in this price range that is going to drive new people to the hobby and enrich people's audio life. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.